Determination. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Winston Churchill. In 2010, a newer version of the iPhone was launched. Devang started making a passionate case for an iPhone, calling it so smart and highlighting that the technology is awesome. The touchscreen feels so smooth. Everyone is getting one and saying, please, 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 can I have one? Steve Jobs really knew how to get people excited about Apple products. Taking advantage of the excitement that was so palpable in Devang, I decided to initiate a discussion on Steve Jobs' life. Devang was surprisingly enthusiastic. I guess Apple had become so much a part of everyday life that he wanted to know about Jobs. Jobs' life was full of ups and downs and amazing determination. Imagine dropping out of college after 6 months, founding a company at 21, creating a USD 2 billion company with more millionaires than any company in history, being fired from the company he had founded, starting a new company and buying another, being brought back to become the CEO of the company that fired him, or dying at the age of 56 after fighting a rare cancer for 8 years. Jobs didn't do just any one of those things. He did all of them. After he dropped out of college, he started attending meetings of the Homebrew Computer Club. This group consisted of computer enthusiasts. Here, he met Steve Wozniak and they decided to work together. Jobs and Wozniak started Apple Computer Inc. in Jobs' parents' garage in 1976. According to Wozniak, Jobs had suggested the name after visiting a commune on an apple orchard. Their first creation was the Apple I. This was a computer without a case, keyboard, or monitor. In a year, they were ready with the Apple II, which became a huge success. At 25, Steve was worth USD 100 million. 7 years after setting up Apple Computer Inc., Jobs reached out to John Scully at Pepsi Cola and asked him, "Do you want to sell sugar water for the rest of your life, or do you want to come with me and change the world?" So, Scully became the CEO of Apple. Jobs and Scully had different management styles, and a power struggle between the two ensued. Low sales made things worse. When the second generation Mac did not receive a positive response, the conflict between the two reached a breaking point. They disagreed on how to reposition the company, and Scully went to the board. The board decided to back Scully, and Jobs was fired. So, what did Jobs do? He became a coffee bean. A coffee bean, you ask? Let me explain. A young woman whose life was full of troubles went to her mother for advice. Her mother listened patiently as she ranted about her endless challenges and then took her to the kitchen. She filled 3 pots with water and placed them on the stove. As the water started to boil, she put carrots in 1 pot, eggs in the second, and coffee beans in the third. After a while, she turned off the stove and brought out the 3 bowls and asked her daughter, "What do you see in each of the bowls?" "Carrots, boiled eggs, and coffee," her daughter replied. "What else?" asked the mother. "Mom, the carrots are soft, the eggs are hard-boiled, and the coffee smells nice." "So, what's the point you're trying to make?" The mother replied, "The carrots were stronger before getting into the boiling water, but they came out soft and weak. The eggs went in soft on the inside with a shell protecting them, but came out hard on the inside. The coffee beans changed the color and taste of the water. So, what do you want to be?" So Jobs, in his coffee bean mode, started another company. He named it Next. 7 years later, he laid off half the employees and closed the factory and decided to focus on software development. 10 years later, Apple bought the company for USD 400 million. The year Jobs started Next, he bought a computer animation studio named Pixar, turning it around and playing a hand in the successes of Toy Story, Ratatouille, The Incredibles, and Cars. 10 years after being fired from Apple, he became a billionaire. Next year, he was approached to rejoin Apple. In his new avatar, Jobs made radical changes at Apple. He fired a large section of managers and dismantled the divisional structure. He hired Tim Cook, who would eventually take over as the CEO. It wasn't just the extent of changes alone he brought about that generated considerable interest in the industry, it was the style as well. While earlier in his career, he was often critical of other people's ideas with little patience to even hear their views if they were different. Jobs now had an open mind. Jobs once commented, "My model for business is the Beatles. They were 4 guys that kept each other's negative tendencies in check. They balanced each other, and the total was greater than the sum of the parts. Great things in business are never done by one person. They are done by a team of people." This was very different from how a younger Jobs had worked. The employees were now excited and they felt a sense of pride in their daily work. The results were a host of innovative products. In a speech Jobs gave at Stanford University in 2005, he said being fired from Apple was the best thing that could have happened to him. The heaviness of being successful was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again, less sure about everything. It freed me to enter one of the most creative periods of my life. He added, "I'm pretty sure none of this, Next, Pixar, the iPod, and iTunes would have happened if I hadn't been fired from Apple. It was awful tasting medicine, but I guess the patient needed it." Jobs' philosophy was clear. 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than by the ones you did do. So throw off the bowlines, sail away from the safe harbor, catch the trade winds in your sails. Unlike Jobs, most of us react to failure rather negatively. Frustration, anger, and hopelessness are common reactions. The heavens seem to come crushing down when we do not get the promotion we wanted, a project falls apart, or we don't get the results we expected to. Our children tend to react in a similar fashion. Failure to make it to the sports team, the choir, or the declamation team is seen as a major disappointment. Not becoming a prefect is seen as a calamity. Devang thought that he would become the head boy of his school. According to his own assessment, his credentials were good and he deserved the position. When the announcement was made, Devang was distraught. He was not made the head boy but the deputy head boy. Nandini and I decided to have a chat with him. "You should be grateful that you were selected to be the deputy head boy. It's quite an honor." When this did not work, we tried to reason with, there are fewer responsibilities, you have more time to do what you like, there is more time to study for your final exams and less pressure. Nothing seemed to give him solace. However, over the next few days, the disappointment gradually reduced. 3 years later, Devang expressed a desire to become the president of the Commerce Society of his college, Hindu College. Our advice to him was, do not let the failure in school bother you. Remember Edmund Hillary, who failed at his first attempt of scaling the Everest but trained harder till he made it. Think of what you can do differently this time. Devang became president. When we congratulated him, we told him that he should remember that he might fail the next time he sets his sight on something. Life is about success, failure, and more success. The key to facing all of it is the determination to rise after one falls. The next time our children get disappointed when they taste failure, we need to remind them about determination. An Apple product will usually be in sight to help drive home the point. Develop success from failures. Discouragement and failure are two of the surest stepping stones to success. Dale Carnegie.